You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks one-on-one. It's a Sunday stream of consciousness. Get the days right, Keith. How are you, everybody? Good to have everybody with us. Looks like we're having some trouble on Roku this morning. Can't really tell. We'll try to get this fixed. Obviously, you can't hear it. You can't hear me say this if Roku's not playing, but we'll try to catch it real quick. I'm trying to do it right now. We'll see what happens. But we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you ever can't catch us anywhere, try a different outlet. I haven't checked our Facebook outlet yet to make sure that we're live. There we are. So welcome everybody there. We're also live nominally on Roku's National Streaming Sports Roku channel. We wish Mac well, by the way. We didn't have a big football show this morning. Mac's a little under the weather, so we wish him well. We got a few people that were involved within this endeavor. Why am I look like I'm sitting so low? There we go. I had taken my computer to a draft yesterday. Thank you, Drew, for your hospitality for the annual baseball draft. One of them. I do have another one tonight. But thank you, Drew, for that. Had a lot of fun. Probably my team stinks, but that's fine. So I had taken my laptop with me, and it's the first time I really moved it in quite a while, my personal laptop. So we had to get some things straightened out here this morning. Still not live on Roku, so I apologize for all those who would normally be watching there. If you see this later, when I replay it on Roku, sorry you didn't get to see it live. Who else? Thanks to the groups that allow share Sports Authorities with John Gonzalez, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the love for baseball. Lots of great guys there, man, former players. If you're a baseball fan, join that group. Also look for some guests from there as well, and we'll have to start scouring there as well. Bottom Line Sports, Flo and the Gang. Let's Talk Sports. Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts with Ken Krause. Lots of great people. RW Media, Ralph Williams, Pittsburgh. Some good stuff. Ralph has a problem, apparently, with somebody at KDKA there. So he's happy to see them gone. If you're there, Ralph, I'd love to know what that was all about. What if you pop in and want to put a comment up. DDH, thumbs up. And my thanks to Kevin Bryant, who's written a book. What was the name of that book? Bear with me one second so I can find that again. See some of you guys there. I'll say good morning in just a second. I apologize. Kevin Bryant, who wrote the book Spies on the Sidelines, the high stakes world of NFL espionage. It's a topic near and dear to my heart. It was a very fun interview. We got into some things that weren't necessarily in his book, but he'll be writing another book as well. Coming up this week will be Wes Pritchett on the 101 interview show. Wes was a member of the important member of the 88 Fighting Irish championship game, their last national championship. One of their top defensive players. And we'll have him on to talk about that team, Lou Holtz, Notre Dame in general, and then his time in the NFL, which was a little short, but a lot of guys don't get there. A couple quick things and we could talk about some of these guys today. I plan on talking a little bit, depending on how the conversation goes. It's your show. I do want to talk about John Feinstein passing away this last Friday, I want to say, at 69 years old, suddenly, apparently from a heart attack at his brother's house. John Feinstein is one of the finest sports writers and authors that I can think of. I tried several times to get John on my show. It didn't work out. And our condolences go to him and certainly to him and his family and friends. Prolific. I mean, I think he's the preeminent author of sports books in my lifetime. A Good Walk Spoiled. Season on the Brinks. A Good Walk Spoiled is about golf and follows the entire season, including the Ryder Cup back in the 80s, 90s maybe. Season on the Brink, the story of the whole season with Bob Knight. A Civil War, the story of the Army-Navy game. And The Punch. I had Kermit Washington on the one-on-one show a few years back. He wrote a book about The Punch. If you remember Kermit punching Rudy Tomjanovich, and just so many others. Some will come to me during the course of his show, probably. A couple other quick ones. Slick Watts passes away. A very big, popular star in Seattle in the 70s. He was the Supersonics point guard and a flashy player. I remember Slick Watts very well. Bill Russell coached those teams, or part of those teams in Slick Watts' time. Not a great player, but a fun player and a very productive player for a number of seasons. Our thoughts and prayers are with his friends and family. And Mike Battle, who played defensive back at USC and later with the Jets, passed away this week as well. He played with some distinction in college and a little bit less, but still distinction in the NFL, and our thoughts are with his family. We'll get into some stuff today. Let me say a couple of good mornings here real quick before I jump into our little preamble. Who's with us early? I am. Good morning, Drew. Drew's talking to all the sports fans out there. Thank you again for your hospitality yesterday, Drew. We had a nice time, and I'll look forward to moving directly into the basement. Your team doesn't stink. Yeah, I will wait for all the injuries. Again, that was factored into my equation. Blessed Sunday, everyone. U2CA, good to have you with us, and everybody else that joins us. And guys, it's your show, so bring those comments. We got stuff to talk about. College basketball, we're winding down. We're Selection Sundays here. Couple things I'll point out. Duke wins the ACC without Cooper Flagg. He will play in the NCAA tournament, according to Duke and the NCAA. St. John's wins their first Big East title in 25 years. Good for basketball. Good for the East Coast. Houston wins the Big 12. We got 4 championship games today, which we'll jump into. I know it's hold on, let me get to them real quick. Hang on. I end up where I want to be, then I just can't be there. I don't know. Today we got we got the SEC championship, which I knew, Tennessee and Florida. I think whoever wins this game gets a number 1 seed, by the way, along with Houston, Duke, and Auburn, even though Auburn went down in the semifinals here. UAB and Memphis in the AAC. Listen, UAB is another team. I'm going to go through some of these. I know I talk about this ad nauseum, and I apologize. I don't need to see 13th team in the SEC and a 10th team, but 10th or 11th best team in the Big Ten. If UAB loses, consider them. You know, if George Mason loses, I think they're playing VCU. I thought this is outside the top 25. I think there's one other game. Yeah, George Mason. There's a couple games. Wisconsin and Michigan, obviously. Memphis and UAB, we talked about. VCU is another team. If they lose, and George Mason's had a great year. Consider these teams and not the 14th best team in the SEC, please. We'll talk more about that. Same thing in women, right? I'm going to get the 12th best team in the Big Ten and the 10th best team in the SEC and the 8th best team in the ACC. And Albany State, who won their conference, lost the conference tournament in the final to a good Vermont team, will be staying home. Not even on the bubble. So anyway, some stuff to talk about there. And I got to tell you, Dickie V, hearing Dickie V call the ACC tournament this year was so happy for Dickie. At 85 years old, if you don't know what he's battled the last, 3, 4, 5 years, he's been through a lot. 3 battles with cancer, losing his voice totally. He came back about a month ago. He didn't sound quite like the old Dickie V, but the attitude was there, and he got very emotional on the side or on the air after that tournament was over. So we're glad to see him back. We'll talk some more about that. We'll talk in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, you can't get away from him. Sorry, you guys may be tired of him, and we may have Rodgers fatigue, but he's a big story. And it looks right now like Kevin O'Connell holds the fate of Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants all in their hands. And maybe he'll do the Giants and the Steelers a favor by saying, okay, come to Minnesota. He wants to play, and it's going to be for one of those 3 teams. If you're a fan of one of those 3 teams, sorry, it's going to happen to one of you. But if the Steelers don't get him, where are they going to go? Who's left? Wilson, who they don't want back. Cousins, who Atlanta, for some reason, kept on their roster and didn't waive and gave him a $10 million bonus. Bailey Zappi, Kyle Allen, Minshew. That's it. That's what the Giants and the Steelers will have to choose from for quarterbacks for next year. Unless the Giants plan on drafting or can draft a quarterback. They're not going to draft it that early. Steelers could take one later, but to play him, they did this with Kenny Pickett. It didn't work out. Sam Darnold, a big contract in Seattle after they traded Geno Smith. A very shocking, in my mind, turn of events there. They traded DK Metcalf, so now they've got 2 head cases at wide receiver in Pittsburgh, unless they dump Pickens. But Cooper Kupp signs in Seattle to give him a little bit more, and Nigel Smith is a very up-and-coming wide receiver, so maybe they'll be better. I don't know that their line's all that good, so they'll need some help. The Bengals look to be close to signing both Chase and Higgins. That should be interesting. MLB, injuries. I don't know what else to talk about. Oh, God. Cole's out for the year. Heal's out for 2-3 months. Yankees in trouble. My favorite pitcher, Carlos Rondon, will be the starter. What else is going on there? I had something else I wrote down here. And we can talk about anything, guys. These are just is Ohtani going to really pitch? They've backed off on him this spring, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him pitching wise. Anyway, we can talk about anything you want there. College football. The AAC has mandated that their teams allocate $10 million to pay players over the next 3 years. So they're going to make these schools pay players. They want to move their profile up, and the only way to get players to do that is to pay today. This is the way we are. Army and Navy will be exempt from that. And Eddie George, big movement of former players. Eddie George was coaching below the FBS 1 level, but he's now moved up to Division 1 at Bowling Green. And we've had this big movement towards ex-players coaching. Trent Dilfer, a couple of years ago, going UAB, still there with really no success. Deshaun Jackson will coach in Delaware, and Michael Vick at Norfolk State. So a bunch going on there. The NBA, we got Brunson out another 2 weeks. Could be a silver lining. Get rested for the playoffs. Could be a silver lining for the Knicks. They're going to need a perfect storm. They got to stay healthy, and they got to get the right matchups in the playoffs. I think they'll hold on to that 3rd spot in the East. Another big story. Listen, you guys might want to rip LeBron, but with LeBron out, the Lakers, who were playing great basketball, since Luka got there and got acclimated with LeBron, they played great basketball. Now they've lost 4 in a row without LeBron. So if you want to, you can deride LeBron for a lot of things. Don't deride him for the success of teams based on his play. There are other things that might affect the team, not his play. And Cleveland's not won 16 straight we can talk some about favorites and watch out for the Warriors. Jimmy Butler's been a great addition there. So anyway, before we fall too far behind, because not that far behind, am I? MLB starts Tuesday in Tokyo. Yeah, that's a great point, Drew. I'm glad you brought it up because I guess I put it out of my mind. We didn't do an MLB update, so we can spend more time on baseball. There's baseball stuff today. It's your show. I mean, I'm willing to talk college basketball. I'm willing to talk women's college basketball if Kenny shows up. Oh, real quick, by the way, I do have the tournament challenges up, and I think I'm going to put them. Can I do this? Yeah, let me put this in the invite here, right? So this is the men's challenge. Let me put this in the copy and paste this into your browsers, guys. It is on my Facebook, TGI Sports Talk Facebook page. It is on my personal page. So we got the women's and the men's brackets up. So that's the men's bracket. How do I get to the women's bracket here? Hang on one second. Let me do this and we'll go back to your comments. If we freeze too, by the way, guys, we've been freezing. We froze again Friday morning. This is a StreamYard issue. I don't get it. Why can't I get into the women's thing here? Hang on one second. Go to all my games. So I gave it a men's bracket. Click that link, guys. Rick, I know you said you were in, but I think you might have meant you were getting in because I didn't see you in. I see Paul on the men's side. Rick will be defending the champion, by the way, both sides. If Rick's with us today, I hope Rick's doing okay too. I know he wasn't able to join us for the draft yesterday. So there's the women. You got men's and you got women. And anyway, back to baseball. Yes, the American pastime, as I talk about on the MLB update often the last few weeks. You know, America's pastime. Why not open up in Tokyo for the 6th time in the last 20 years? You had a great tradition in Cincinnati for decades and decades and decades where they got a standalone deal. But we're going to go out and play games on Tuesday. So tomorrow's the 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you who celebrate. I will not be. So what was it, Tuesday? So that's the 18th and 19th. And then we'll go back to playing exhibition games. How silly. Major League Baseball does not understand. Baseball's big in Japan, by the way. They don't need us to go over there and play games. Especially opening day, 2 weeks or more, 2 weeks, I guess, before, well, 11 days before the real opening day. Good grief. CA, Jets proved that they're the team to beat in the Winnipeg. A little hockey from CA, sorry. I didn't mention hockey. Winnipeg has been playing great hockey all year. They lead their division by 10 points. They got the best record in the West by 10 points. They got the best record, or tied for the best record in the NHL with the Capitals. Playing great. We can talk some hockey as we go through here. Tiger should have stopped on the Quest years ago. Listen, I don't know how he tore. I didn't read the article. I know he tore his Achilles, which is his latest injury. He will not play in the Masters. And again, the magic's done, guys. And again, it was a very magical moment in the world of golf when Tiger came out of nowhere after he'd been away for, it felt like years, to win the Masters a few years back. It's over for Tiger as a top regular tour or major championship level golfer. It's over. He's not old enough, I don't think, attempted to be competitive on the seniors tour. I don't think Tiger's old enough to play the seniors tour, is he? Maybe I'm wrong. Champions tour, by the way, we have to be correct, CA. No, I don't have to be correct, but it is the championships tour. I'm sure that change was made years and years ago. So I doubt it was part of the world's woke agenda. to change because we are offending seniors. I don't doubt it has something to do with it. He's 49, so he cannot play in a senior tour until he's 50. The Tiger's worth $1.3 billion. By the way, it came out this week that he's secretly dating Donald Trump's ex-daughter-in-law. I know he's a friend of Trump, so you can read into that whatever you want. Chris F. Grave up in Canada. How are you? We are good friends with Canada. I know we have some issues at the moment, which will get resolved. People need to freaking relax, by the way. All these issues will get resolved. No pain, no gain. Life is like that. And we are good friends on this show with our friends in Canada, and we will be as countries again, I promise you. Good morning to you up there. Anyway, good morning to you in the great white north. Gosh, the injury bug is running wild this spring. Tigers talking of having Javier Baez take reps in center. Question, should the Tigers sign Alex Verdugo? Drew and I will have our MLB update or MLB preview show on March 28th as part of the MLB update. We'll extend that show to a couple hours anyway. So we'll start at 3:00 and go a couple hours. And we'll talk about stuff like this. Verdugo is one of the best. Listen, he's not a great player, but he's one of the better players left out there in free agency. The Tigers aren't that deep. They got some young outfielders. I'm not a big fan of Alex Verdugo, so I don't know if that's a great idea. And Baez taking reps in center, I don't think he's good enough defensive player in the infield to worry about that. You've also got Gleyber Torres, I believe, entrenched at second base there now. No, or is he going to DH? What was it? I still don't know. I got to look at that. I know Drew and I had differing opinions there, and I thought I'd heard that they had Colt Keith there, so I don't know whether Gleyber's going to play second or DH or move to third base. Who knows what's going to happen with Gleyber? Not sure, but. The Tigers, I like the Tigers. Tigers had a great run. They were the best team in the regular season the last 2 months of the season. They were on fire. Didn't carry over that well into the playoffs, but this is a team to watch. They got the best pitcher in baseball, in my mind, in Scoobo. They brought Flaherty back. So, something to watch out for, Chris. Did Minshew sign? That's my bad. I was looking at a list of guys who hadn't signed, and maybe Minshew signed. Well, obviously, since that list was updated, you got to be careful, and I do it sometimes. It'll be a month old. This one was fairly recent, so Minshew will now be Mahomes' backup. By the way, that's a good signing for Kansas City. I think something again. Minshew is a good player in very short spurts, so if Mahomes is going to miss the end of a game or a game or two, I think Minshew can play. He can improvise similar to Mahomes, not on the level of Mahomes. But I think he fits as the backup there better than guys like Carson Wentz, who was there last year. Thank you for that clarification. Jordan Mason just traded from the Niners to the Vikings. I did see that. Listen, the Vikings have a very tough decision to make about. Their choices are two. You roll the dice with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not saying it's the right move, and it's funny that would parallel Brett Favre almost to the T. Wonderful career, Super Bowl wins in Green Bay. Go to the Jets for a couple of years, disappoint, move on to the Vikings. He should have had the Vikings in the Super Bowl, if you remember, and he throws the worst interception in the history of football, possibly. Well, sorry, that might be Seattle, the Super Bowl. But that call's debatable. But Brett Favre is just running out the clock. He's ahead. Or they're going to kick a few, whatever the situation was. He throws a horrible. I feel like they were ahead. If Rick's here, I don't think Rick's here. So hopefully everything's all right with Rick. I don't see him here with us. I wish he was so we could talk about this situation. When you see this, Rick, I hope you're doing okay and everything's all right with the family. So yes, Jordan Mason to the Vikings. Moves will continue to get made. We got the draft coming up in I think a little more than a month, let's say a month, you're going to see more trades. You see Jordan Mason traded here. I'm not so sure. You won't see a move with Pickens before the draft. And Mason did a really good job backing up. Well, actually, he became probably one of their main backs in San Francisco because of all the injuries. And Aaron Jones could use somebody to spell him because he's not a young pup for a running back in the NFL. It's a good team. It is a mirror. No, you want to know what? Daniel Jones, for all his faults, is a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. Richardson's terrible. I said this, and this isn't revisionist conversation from this host. Again, I don't know what other people were saying. Some were saying what I said. Some thought he was going to be great. What a great pick I think it was the 4th pick, right? All you were doing was picking talent, not skill. You can't learn to play quarterback in the NFL. He didn't play. I watched this kid on QB1 his whole senior year in football, and he just didn't look like a kid who cared about getting better. He cared about getting out of his situation. But he went to Florida and he did not perform because he didn't play. He had a couple of moments, and teams fall in love with tools rather than skill. I said then, what a horrible move. Richardson should have been drafted. Don't get me wrong. 2nd round. He goes 4th. Again, it backs up my opinion. You cannot be taking these quarterbacks in the top 5 and the top 10 in the draft. The percentage of it working out. Yes, Peyton Manning's, they hit. Who else? Mahomes is a 14th pick. I can rattle off a ton of guys in the Hall of Fame who weren't drafted in the 1st round and weren't drafted at all in some cases. We know about Tom Brady's story. Drew Brees was the 2nd round draft pick or the last pick in the 1st round. It might have been the 1st pick in the 2nd round. Close enough to be 2nd round. Johnny Unitas. Len Dawson, not even drafted. I know we're going back a ways there. Dan Marino falls to 20. Aaron Rodgers, out of the top 20. Guys, you miss more often than you hit. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, 15th. Anthony Richardson. CJ Stroud might be a hit. Murray might be a hit. Still, both of them are question marks still in my mind. The numbers say you don't pick a player drafted in the 1st round since the common draft in 1967. 8% of the quarterbacks taken in the 1st round have gone to a Super Bowl. 8%. And like 4 of them were with different teams and drafted them. It doesn't pay off. I get it. You need a quarterback. There's a Peyton Manning out there. You're going to take a chance. I understand why teams reach. The numbers say you shouldn't do it. And it's going to get done again this year with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So anyway, let me get back to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is better than Richardson. Daniel Jones going someplace where he doesn't have as much scrutiny on him, like Indianapolis. There's no pressure on him. He's got a chance. He'll win this job. See what the weapons they put around him, but the expectations will be totally different. He doesn't have the New York media all over him. You could see, and again, he's not going to be a top 10 quarterback. You could see a productive NFL quarterback. I'm not saying it will happen either. I'm saying there is a possibility because we've already seen it with 2 New York quarterbacks in recent years. Sam Darnold, whether there's lasting power, staying power, remains to be seen. Geno Smith also resurrected his career after getting out of New York and rehabilitating. It can happen. Listen, I'm a Fields fan. I was in favor of the Patriots, and again, Drake May looks like the real thing. So, again, it doesn't change my opinion. I still would have, even after watching Drake May and looking at his potential, and starting to get excited again about Patriot football. I was still in favor of them signing Justin Fields last year, or trading. Don't remember if they had a trader. He was a free agent, I think. Anyway, bringing in Fields and drafting Harrison with that 4th pick. Now, Harrison didn't have a great rookie year. Harrison will be a great wide receiver in this league. That's the way I would have gone. I think Justin Fields is getting better throwing the football. All these guys who think Russell Wilson was so great last year, he was no better than Justin Fields was the first 4 games, 5 games, whatever he played. And I'm not telling you they won because of Justin Fields. I'm telling you he can be a productive winning quarterback in this league. Because the year before, with the Bears, the team led by Justin Fields won 6 of their last 7 games. Now, it's also possible his engine will catch on fire or clip another player at a tarmac. But I do think there's potential there. You're rolling the dice. I mean, every quarterback is a roll of the dice today. The quarterbacks that are available. Sam Darnold's a huge roll of the dice. Huge for the Seahawks. This could set this franchise back. Now they're bringing in some weapons. Najee Smith is a really good up-and-coming wide receiver, by the way. We'll see what Cooper Kupp's got left. But they cut bait with Lockett. They cut bait with Metcalf. They need to improve that offensive line. Sam Darnold was in a perfect situation for Sam Darnold last year. Good offensive line, really good quarterback coach in Kevin O'Connell, head coach and working with quarterbacks. A tremendous wide receiver core, skill position player core in general. Now, will that play outside of Minnesota? Because it didn't play anywhere else. People like to point out San Francisco. He didn't play enough in San Francisco to know whether Sam Darnold was any good there or not. Speaking of San Francisco, what are they going to do with Purdy now? San Francisco with a very tough decision to make about Purdy. He's got 1 more year left on his rookie contract. He has not shown that he can carry this team without the major weapons being available, and the major weapons are quickly being cleaned out. Just saw another one go. Debo's in Washington. We'll see. They better make the right call, right? If they think he can win and win big, which he has, except for getting to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. And they brought Mac Jones in to be their backup. I wouldn't read too much into it. I really wouldn't. But I will point out, before they drafted Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan was trying to move heaven and earth for whatever reason, to get Mac Jones. And then for whatever reason, he got off Mac Jones and on Trey Lance. So Aaron Rodgers' situation in a nutshell. The Vikings not having not added depth at the most important position obviously has everyone interested in the NFL attention. Well, here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers keeps telling people, I think he's waiting on the Vikings, without a doubt. He's waiting for Kevin O'Connell. And listen, God forbid I defend Aaron Rodgers. But a lot of talk was made about him holding the Steelers hostage and even the Giants, because the Giants are still interested. Sorry, Giant fans. There is a potential you will have him, and I hope he is, in New York next year, just because it'll be fun for me. And Danny, wherever you are, won't be picking the Giants to make the playoffs next year, probably. But it's really Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, because I think it's pretty clear to me that Aaron Rodgers wants to be a Viking. If that falls through, I would guess Pittsburgh would be his next option if he wants to have a chance to win. He's not going to win in New York. he's not going to Tennessee. There's not a lot available out there, guys. I did put up the this one. I think is the men's, by the way. Just copy and paste these guys. There's Kenny Gifford with us this morning. Kenny, I know you were asking about the brackets. They're up on my Facebook page. They're up on my personal page, and I'll reshare them later today so they get to the top. They are in the comments here, just above Kenny's comment. If you look again, so scroll up, and I'll put them up in here again later. I do have the women's. One of these is women's. One of these is men's. So make sure you click on two different ones. I don't know if they're a hyperlink in the comments or not. I don't ever see them that way. If they're not, you simply take that, paste it, and put it in your browser, and you'll get there. Picks have to be in by Thursday morning before the first game starts. So anyway, good morning to Kenny up on the mountain. Hope you're doing well. So many of us, as we start to get older, right? We have issues, and I feel like I'm saying to everybody, hope you're doing okay. We hope Rick's doing okay, and his family's doing okay, and I hope Kenny's doing okay, and I hope Danny's doing okay, and I hope Mac's doing okay. Mac McGrath, we didn't have the big football show this morning. Mac's having a few health issues today, so hopefully that clears up. On that note, I'm not dying sitting at this desk working. We have exactly 164 days. That's not counting weekends, holidays, some PTO, so it's probably less than 100 working days. Wow, isn't that cool? I'm not dying sitting at this desk. I'm getting out and having some fun. So, Kenny, I will, if you're able, I don't know what your situation is now or will be next, or well, even in the fall. I'll be able to play golf during the week. And I plan on joining, I think, as of today, Eagle Crest on their weekday membership, which is only about $1,200 a year. Got to play 3 times a week probably to make it worthwhile. I'm seriously considering it. So anyway, thanks for popping in this morning, Kenny. Hopefully, again, it can't be too cold on the mountain. We've had some nice weather. How much snow you got left? Ours is gone, finally. Drew says Cowboys continue to stopgap philosophy at running backs with Miles Sanders signing. I think I think with the Raiders and where the Raiders are with Geno Smith coming in and some of the other moves that they've made, it's possible they'll take Giante in their slot, which I think is 6. But there's a possibility Giante slips to 14. I think it's where the Dallas Cowboys are. If Giante should be on the board, the Cowboys will take him. But again, running backs are still undervalued, guys. They don't want to take. I think he'll be the only running back going in the first round. There's a kid from North Carolina, really good. I think he'll be a second-round pick because they don't want to pay first-round money. And as great a year as Saquon Barkley had this year, he got rewarded. Nobody else did. Najee Harris, who's in the upper echelon of NFL running backs. I'm not saying he's Jim Brown. Franco Harris, I guess, use a better analogy with Pittsburgh. He signed with San Diego for 1 year, $5.2 million. Now, to the rest of us, that's a lot of money. In the NFL, that's not. That's nowhere near the money. And I'm not saying he's a player, Barkley is. But it just shows you the NFL still doesn't value that position because they feel they can just replace it with it's an interchangeable position. I can find 5 more guys to do your job. I do think Giante will be special in the NFL. Got to land in the right situation. Cowboys would be silly not to pick him up if available. There you go. There's Allen. Al, you feel another guy who's like 30 or 40 years younger than me. No, 40. I think Allen's in his 30s. 30 some years younger than me. And Allen's been struggling. So everybody has a tough time of it. Allen, hope you're doing better as well. But good morning. Good to have you with us. And I do think that Giante falls to your Cowboys, and I think it will behoove that team to take him. Big in Japan by, I don't know, Alphaville. What is it? What'd you put up? Oh, music big in Japan? Country music? by Alpha. I'm trying to decode CA's comment here. It's a little like watching Concentration, if you remember the old Concentration show, which CA probably does. People of a certain age will certainly remember Concentration with Hugh Downs and later the late Alex Trebek, my favorite game show announcer of all time because of Jeopardy. But also High Rollers, classic Concentration. He had a gazillion shows before he went on Jeopardy for, 2 careers. But I have the same problem sometimes with CA's posts and trying to figure out how the emojis play into the comment. But if it's about baseball in Japan, man, stop. Good point. Mike Williams returns to the Chargers. Yeah, old home week. So Mike Williams, listen, he'll probably help the Chargers a bit. He's not a go-to guy anymore. I mean, he'll play well in spurts and situations. Mason Rudolph, if he's your quarterback, I said this the other day. I think we were talking about it Friday on a Mac and Jack show, or maybe it was Wednesday night. If Mason Rudolph is playing any more than a couple of games, this team will finish 8-8 or worse. Don't care who your wide receivers are. Sorry, no disrespect to Mason Rudolph. He's another guy who plays. That's why backup quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks. They play for a few games and they can play effectively. When they have to play over time, they're exposed for who they really are. Again, it's not a shock, or it's not a shot at Mason Rudolph. It's just a reality. Mason Rudolph's better than me. I'm not carrying a clipboard around for millions of dollars. He knows the system. But if he's a starting quarterback there, God help you, Steeler fans. I don't know how you're going to sell that to Steeler fans. Yeah. Verdugo had one of his, if not the worst year of his career, offensively. That was with a couple of good spurts. Maybe being able to grow his facial hair will be back. Maybe he'll get batting gloves he's not allergic to. Did you ever hear a guy with more excuses than this guy? Maybe being able to wear his chains again will help him. All these things the Yankees imposed and said he couldn't do must have affected his game terribly. I wasn't a big fan of him coming in here, if you remember. And I will say the Yankees have some issues still. The starting staff is not good right now. We got Rondon, we got Clark Schmidt, who I do like, and I know a lot of people are down on, a lot of Yankee fans are down on. I think you're going to see a step forward by Clark Schmidt this year. You're going to have to rely on Stroman now. Because you're without Cole and Heel for a while. Will Warren may be the 5th starter. So you got to rely on Schmidt and Warren to step up, at least until Heel comes back. If he comes back. Third base, still a hole. If we're going to play Jazz at second base, third base is a hole. Or second base is a hole if you play Jazz there. Jason Dominguez, still a question mark, especially defensively in the outfield. I do think Bellinger and Goldschmidt bounce back with good years. Stanton, we could lose him for the whole year, and quite frankly, I'd be okay with that. That's fine. We'll find a bat somewhere. Cole Keith Asman moved first. There you go. I knew there was something going on there. He's entrenched at second. Yesterday, I mean, there was a couple of comments made about Gleyber Torres. You couldn't make me take Gleyber Torres in a freaking minute. He has some of the worst baseball instincts. I mean, he can hit the baseball. We've seen him have great years. Not recently. But he has horrible baseball instincts in the field, on the bases. And this is part of the problem with baseball. And because you don't learn those instincts at the major league level. You have to learn them earlier on. And we just, even in the minors and college, even in high school, we're not honing these. And again, instincts can you can have instincts and I think improve them and hone them. but you can't be doing it at the major league level. And Gleyber Torres is a great example of that. For years, I've watched this guy, and again, I've said this a bunch of times. His plan, base running strategy is to run until you get tagged. Athletes prep to play often, regardless of age qualification. What? Athletes prep to play often, regardless of age qualification. Yet, killing me with the. But punch 100%. I'm not sure. By the way, we talk about it. 82 games they play in the NBA, right? 2 games a week. The other night, and the NBA is looking into it. OKC, Oklahoma City, sat all 5 starters. Now, we do some load management. Here's the problem, though. When you're in bed with gamblers, that stuff raises an eyebrow, man. You did it at home as a big favorite against Portland. I don't know what the score of the game was, and I don't care. But anytime you do these things and you're in bed with gamblers, any move you make is going to be scrutinized. Any sitting guys out for any reason is going to be scrutinized. NBA is one of the worst places for potential betting scandals, in college, by the way. And not so much throwing games or shaving points. Not so much. It could happen. It likely will happen. I think it's the norm. It's not the norm. It's the exception. But the place you really have to watch is you can go to DraftKings and bet on individual performance. Player X to get 20 points and 10 rebounds, or just 10 rebounds and just don't get 10 rebounds. That's the place where it's really dangerous. In the NBA specifically, I suppose you could do it in the NFL. There's individual player bets you make. A lot of danger, man. And they just don't get it. How'd I fall? 60 minutes behind. Michael Gott from the UK. Good morning, my friend. It is always good to reach out to our friends over in the UK. Michael Gott being number one of them right now. We haven't seen a lot of Alex lately, our San Francisco fan. Our number one UK guy will always be Dan Harris. Rest in peace, my friend. We'll miss you. But Michael is a big part of this show. We're happy to have you. Let's see. What are you doing? Watching a doc NHL. Found out the early days president, Frank Calder, has a cup named after him, the Calder Cup in minor league hockey. Wouldn't allow goalies to leave their feet. He stated that they stand on their head instead. That's where the standing on your head comes from. Interesting. Good get. What's that documentary, Michael? I'd love to catch it. I love to turn, just late at night when I'm trying to wind down, turn on a good sports documentary, especially an older one. I will find some good stuff just cruising YouTube. But yeah, he's got a cup named after him in the minor leagues here in Albany when they had a hockey team had won several Calder Cups. And again, I want to mention one more time about John Feinstein, tremendous sports author. For those of you who may not have been here earlier, passed away suddenly and tragically on Friday, 69 years old, way too young. There's a time I wouldn't have thought that was way too young. I certainly do now. So I enter my 65th year. Here's the thing. One of the great authors of our time, some great books I mentioned earlier, Season on the Brink, A Good Walk Spoiled, A Civil War, The Punch. There's like 40 other books. There's not one bad book that John Feinstein's ever wrote, and I read every one of them. If you like sports books, and again, this isn't, some of the crap you can buy about, the 1973 Mets, and it's all, pulp. Just some really good stuff. This is deep, ingrained reporting, getting embedded with these teams he did with Army and Navy in the Covering an entire season. Same thing on the golf tour. And I can't remember the year. I apologize. I want to say 90. I don't know, 90. Maybe it was 89 or 90. There was a Ryder Cup year. He followed players on a PGA Tour. He covered the Ryder Cup. He went to the minor league tour. I can't think of what they were calling it at the time, to follow a couple of guys trying to earn their PGA card. And he did great work on TV. He was on TV a lot with the sports reporters on ESPN when they were on. I'm going to tell you, if you like to read, I don't care what you like to read. These are not your everyday sports books. They are well done. And you may hear me mention John again today. The audience was growing, and I thought I'd mention it from where I mentioned at the top. So our condolences to his family. Drew's got me blocked off here. Very strategic move to block my face. Let me go down here and read the birthdays. MLB birthdays today. Vlad Jr. Is Vlad going to get his money? Blue Jays don't seem to be willing even with to pay Vlad's counter. He wants $500 million. Corey Spanberg, Spencer Cable. I do love these names too. Stephen Drew, who's a nice little player in his day. Brian Wilson, not the Beach Boy. Curtis Granderson, nice player with the Tigers and the Yankees and maybe a couple other teams. Abraham Nunez, Tom Bradley. I remember pitching in the 70s. Had some good years with the White Sox. Rick Rennick, Rick Reichert, outfielder, I believe. Don Blasingame, wait a minute. I was going to say pitcher, but he might have been I think he was a second baseman, right? With the Reds. Hobie, I try to remember these as I go. Hobie Landreth, I'm not getting. Little Poison Lloyd Wayner, Hall of Famer. Patsy Donovan, who probably should be in the Hall of Fame, played 1890 to 1907. There's probably some recency bias there. True. Alan, I see them trading back and maybe getting, well, if they trade back, they're not getting Giante, that's for sure. And maybe get a Ibuka from Ohio State, round 1, Hampton from North Carolina, round 2. You better be careful on Hampton. You better be careful on Hampton making it to round 2. Where's my, see if I can, without falling too far behind here. NFL Big Draft Board. All right, let's take a look. Let's see where he has, or they have. This is my favorite ranking. This isn't necessarily where they will go. He's got 28. So he's the second best back in this draft for sure. And again, I've already said I think he goes in the second round, but is he going to last to, I would get an early second round pick, Alan. He's got him ranked 28. They do. And PFF is my favorite. I think they're most accurate. In fact, hold on, let's see. Let me just make sure that I'm giving you the right information that he's the second. If he's there, I think he's their second ranked back. Let's find out. Where the hell's the, let's it go? How do I hit this? Oh, here we go. That's what I want. Can you just freaking, why can't you just do what I asked you to do? Oh, maybe because I got to take this out of here. There we go. Yeah, he's second. And by the way, you fall all the way to 52 with Scattaboo, and I'll be shocked if he goes before the third round. That's second round area, but I think he goes in the third round. Now, remember, and he's moved Giante up to 5. So the Raiders will have a shot at him most likely. What I'm interested in is seeing where he's got the quarterbacks right now. Cam Ward, and again, this is not where they'll go. This is PFF's quarterback ranking. This is what I keep talking about, guys, and nobody listens. Cam Ward, 21. Shedeur Sanders, 47. You can't take those guys at 1, 2, 5, 10. I'm waiting. He still has Jackson Dart rated kind of low, by the way, and I think Jackson Dart is probably the third best quarterback in this draft. A sleeper that somebody's going to win on is Kyle McCord. Right now, he's got him at 159. So if you want a running back and you think it's going to be Hampton, you may not get him in the second round unless you're getting a very early pick. I think he'll go in the second round. I don't know that it'll last as long as to the Cowboys, wherever they're picking in round 2. Might depend on the trade that you're talking about. But I'm not trading until I know once Giante goes off the board, Alan, well, then maybe I make that trade because you can't take Hampton at 14. Then maybe I make that trade. CA, although their speculation the Vikings front office free agent moves don't favor them getting caught into a bad situation, they're enjoying the attention with a plan in place. I think they know right now what they want to do with Aaron Rodgers. And I know Rick won't enjoy hearing this, but I think there's a decent chance. Giant fans and Steeler fans will probably be happy, although the Steelers have no quarterback if Rodgers doesn't sign with them. I think he's going to the Vikings. We'll see. I think he wants to win. Well, what situation, if they want him, gives him the best situation to win? Minnesota. Mets and Yankees Subway Series this year? I'll tell you. Both teams have a lot of question marks. For the money spent on these rosters, you know, the Mets, I think, overachieved. They had a great finish to the season last year. I think they overachieved a bit. And they're almost running it back, hoping that pitchers either pitch as well as they did last year or bounce back. You're moving Clay Holmes into a starting position role. You've got Frankie Montas, who couldn't make it in New York with the Yankees. And I said he's not a New York type player. Injured already. And that's because he's playing in New York, but there's a lot of other pressures that come with playing in New York. You got to count on Manaea to have the same kind of year, and he's already hurt. They still got issues at second base. Is Vientos a real deal? I think he is. We'll see. Pete Alonso with a lot of pressure on him. Still some questions in the outfield. The lineup. Again, Yankees too. Yankees have some lineup issues as well as pitching issues. Now, that said, this could happen. But there's some issues on both these teams. Brown's latest version of whack-a-mole. Kenny Pickett is the starter, most likely, as we start. And the massage molester, thank you for the reminder on his nickname here, because we do not speak his name on the show, because he's one of the most despicable human beings in the face of the earth. And the NFL and the Browns are complicit in the fact that this guy, who's, in my mind, a dangerous criminal, is allowed to play in the NFL. When he can play. He's hurt, and he stinks when he can play. He's out for the year, I believe. Anyway. Kenny Pickett, flamed out with the Steelers, maybe not a good fit. I don't think he's going to be a great fit in Cleveland, but you never know. Sometimes these guys get a second chance, change of scenery, and it works. Kenny Pickett, who I was not a big fan of coming out of the draft. I think the Steelers picked him around 19. I think he's another guy, should have been like a second round pick and given some time to develop. So once these guys are thrown into the fray right away, Pickett, Wilson, I can think of guys in the past, Jim Plunkett. They get beat up and their confidence gets beat down, and a change of scenery and just healing their psyche, it can have great effect. And maybe he still can be an effective player in the NFL. I'm not sold. But he's going to get a chance to play. And again, it's not with a very good team. And I think it's funny, Myles Garrett says it's not about the money when he becomes the highest played, defensive player in the history of football. I mean, he wanted to get out of Cleveland because they wouldn't try to win. But as soon as they ponied up the money, he stays. These guys kill me. And in fairness, the Browns weren't just going to give him away, so he may have ended up having to go back there anyway, so why not get the money? But if you really want, and I'm not a fan of guys not fulfilling their contracts, so don't get me wrong, but if you want to be, walk the walk of the talk, you talked, then you should have sat out and got yourself traded to a team that wants to win. Now, maybe the Browns do. They've made some bad personnel decisions, but they haven't been totally awful. Last year, they were not good, obviously. But Baker Mayfield a few years ago, so bad decision getting rid of him, right? Had them on the verge of going to the AFC Championship game, but for a fumble near the goal line. Controversial one at that. NHL 100 years. I'll check that out, Michael. Thank you for that information. I love these old documentaries. I'm a big YouTube fan, man. I will sit, and not just sports, a political nut. I think I mentioned this a couple of times. I'm a Richard Nixon freak. I watch everything I can find about Nixon and Watergate, Nixon's whole career, but political books and movies, documentaries. I'm just a freak for this stuff, man. One of the great books I read was by the guy's and certainly not somebody I watch on TV. He's on MSNBC. I want to say Kevin O'Donnell. I can't think of his name right now. It was a book about the 1968 Democratic race for president. It's fascinating behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, I digress. There's our boy Bo Crouch. Speaking of the Seattle and the Arnold's trading, moving Metcalf out, moving Geno out, which doesn't appear to be the plan they wanted to have. They re-signed Geno, so I think they blew up their plan in mid form here. But Kupp coming in here will be a good for them, and I'm interested to see what Bo might have to say if he's still with us. I know about 20 minutes behind. No, I'm not. I'm not bad at all. I'm only can't do math. I went to Perth. 8 minutes behind. AF1 officially kicks off this weekend, and we have some football going on. Bo, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to leave that football to you. Other than college football, which I can watch below the Division I level, I can't watch these other leagues play. I'm not even sure what AF1 is. What the hell is AF1? I thought the USFL was kicking off, or the UFL, or whatever the frick we have going on. What is it? AF1? AF1. I got to check it out now. Oh, arena football. I'm all right with arena football. We have that right here in Albany. We love arena football. I'm going to watch it on TV probably. But to go to the games, it's an awesome experience to go to the games. You have a team up there in the great Northwest, Bo, at least within driving distance of you? I'm not sure. And again, we've got several leagues. I don't even know what Albany's playing in anymore. See, are they in this arena one? I don't think they are. So I'm looking at the teams. We got, Albany Firebirds. By the way, they rebranded themselves back to their original nickname, the Firebirds. Sorry, I was so down on this post originally. Now I'm all excited, Bo. We'll get to 2 or 3 games during the course of the year. Firebirds won a championship back in 99. God, what a raucous crowd. They have every home game. They got a block party. They got stuff going on. They sell this team tremendously. And then, guys like Antonio Brown come in and buy it, and it folds every couple of years. So I don't see, let's see, Corpus Christi, Nashville, Oregon. You're not getting to that game. I don't know what that logo is. Billings, you're not going to that game. Anyway, there's only 9 teams though, right? AFC East is made up of 2 teams. AF1 East is made up of 2 teams. Oh, God. Anyway, I do enjoy the Arena League, right? I don't pretend it's football as such. Thank you, Bo. Good morning to you as well. So thank you for that. I do want some opinion, if you're still here, Bo, on the Seattle moves. Allen's Rangers may have pitching problems. We know Gray got hurt yesterday, too, by the way. The starters may need both rookies. Rocker. I like Rocker a lot. Watched him pitch here in Troy. Pitched really well. They may need lighter to fill injured holes. The bullpen seems to be weak and roles to find. Well, I've said this for a while about the Rangers, right? And what's the situation with Gray? I did see he went out. I think I got rid of what happened to Gray. I think something. It was just I just saw a news flash today. Rangers Gray fractures wrist and comebacker. He'll be out. It's his right wrist as well. So, not good news, says Bruce Bochy. There's the understatement of the year. But again, I mean, this is a guy that I know Allen was really happy about. This guy went 5-6 last year with a 4.47 ERA. I was never in love with this guy. I do not think, and I know Drew disagrees with me a little bit or a lot. I don't think DeGrom will make it through this season. I have no reason to think Jacob DeGrom, and I know there's some numbers that Drew may throw out here or on our previous show, which is fine. My gut just tells me his history says he'll get hurt. Right? We talked about this. I said Cole, Drew, kudos to him, had called out Garrett Cole as a high injury risk. I did not think so. At least compared to other guys. I'm not saying they're all injury risks. Everybody, especially pitchers. But DeGrom is of high risk of injury. Now, that said, if some of their kids bounce back and have decent years, were disappointments last year, Evans and Langford and Young was out for a lot of the year. I mean, they could bounce back. But when Jake Berger's in the middle of your lineup, there's a lot of rally scheme being killed there. So I'm not high on the Rangers. And not just to bust Allen's chops, without any doubt. Love Allen to death. But I still like the Astros there. The Astros will be in contention until they aren't. And I like Seattle. Seattle can find a way to score some runs. I know they got some pitching injuries, but to me, healthy, that is the best pitching staff in baseball. Starting staff. Little work to do in the bullpen. They got to find a way to score runs. You can't have J-Rod and waste it's not the prime of his career because he's just a kid. But you've got to find a way to score runs, and bringing, Henniger back and things like this are not getting it done. Gen X rocker. See, you're the most eclectic person I know have ever come on this show. Most of us are like Nathan. What's the word? Oh my God. See, there you go. Do you remember I told you I just have a word in my head and I panic? Neanderthals, Jesus, compared to you. And I should say me. I should not paint my audience as Neanderthals. I guess that's a bit of a shot. I apologize, sort of. Compared to our illustrious CA here, man, he's all over the board. David Drummond's 52nd birthday was Friday. My favorite song is Disturbed. By Disturbed is The Light. By the way, that reminds me. So now, hold on. Now, I got to back up because now I'm going to show you how enlightened I am, CA. I'm pretty sure Disturbed, and is he the lead singer? I don't even know. David Draymond? Didn't Disturbed do, if it is, it's Simon and Garfunkel did, as we know. Gosh, what's the name of the song? Oh, God. Here I go again. They did a version of Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge. Is it Bridge Over? That's not Bridge Over Troubled Water. What is it? It's the one that really, it's disturbing the way Disturbed sings it. It's so moving. I would never think I would have liked this song. What is the name of it? Hang on. Ugh. Sounds of Silence. Jesus, good grief. Am I right? Disturbed did a tremendous version of this song. It'll give you chills if you watch this. This guy's voice is just dynamic. Now, I wouldn't listen to, the metal. You say Gen X rocker. I think it's metal. I don't know the words to use to describe this song. I thought they were heavy metal. I've seen their other stuff, and I wouldn't spend 5 minutes watching it. When I saw this years ago, I saw this cover of Sounds of Silence, and it is amazing. Drew says, no Subway Series. Mets are way. Don't give up all your information, Drew. I could do that because I can just change my mind in 2 weeks. I'm just kidding. The Mets are way overslotted despite their pitching weaknesses. And the Yankees have too many holes right now for both their stars. Exactly what I said. And the lineup, yes, in the field, and that lineup as an extension of the players on the field is not what I would like it to be. Now, if Bellinger and Goldschmidt do what I think they can do, Jazz Chisholm, who I think will have a great year this year, stay healthy, Jazz. I think Volpe will cut down the strikeouts a little bit, although he still swings like, he wants to dislocate both his shoulders every time he swings. They both have, but there aren't a lot of teams without holes, right? The Dodgers don't have holes, but they don't have to worry about them as far as getting to the playoffs and through the playoffs in the American League. If they run into the Dodgers in the World Series again, well, it'll be a problem. But you look at a lot of the contenders, and there's a lot of them with holes, and we'll be digging into a lot of that in 2 weeks. But there's some good teams. And the Yankees, listen, it's a possibility. But these teams are going to need a perfect storm to meet in the World Series for sure. As far as playing time goes, Massage Molester has become the NFL equivalent of Anthony Rendon. Yeah, but Anthony Rendon, who's actually went out and spoke out against his sport and said, I hate my job. I hate playing baseball. I hate all of it. I love the money, but I hate the game. He's actually likable, and you can root for him compared to the massage molester. It's amazing the people that we worry about, right? Again, don't let the air out of footballs. I'll say it to you one more time. Don't let the air out of footballs. But you can, and I don't care if people want to tell me that, I'm spreading rumor when I say 60 women came out and spoke out against the massage molester. Where I come from, there's an old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And one person, two people, disgruntled people didn't get a big enough tip, whatever. 60? You're a pig. And you only aren't in prison because of whatever circumstances. You either bought women off or they were afraid to come forward. Sue me. Won't be the first time. Get in line behind Basement Bob. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. I have my, you'll be doing game? Where? Which building? I couldn't find a team, Bo. Hope you're with me still. I couldn't find a team that would fit. Where are you? Well, I don't know where Selena is, so Kansas. So you got to be traveling to do this, I would think. Corpus Christi, Billings, Montana, Oregon, I guess. Well, hello. You're not that far from Oregon, but you're in the Seattle area, correct? Is that where you're going? I don't know what this team is. Oh, Washington. Maybe that's it. Hello. I don't know if this is your Washington or Washington, D.C., but there's a team in Washington. Good. Congratulations. And by the way, Bo has really been moving up the ranks. Bo, and he's a younger guy than me, right? But I would not have done what Bo is doing. Bo is really putting I believe, again, I don't know a lot about it, but I think Bo's put all his eggs in one basket here as far as making this whole thing work. He's gotten his credentials to the Senior Bowl. He's gotten now credentials for the Arena League. And I don't listen. When I was bashing the league earlier, I wasn't thinking arena football. I'm bashing the USFL and those other fake NFL teams, pro football teams. This is a different sport, right? I have fun at these games. I enjoy these. So when you get your credentials and when your team comes to Albany, let me know. We'll have to hook up when you come and travel and cover the game. I don't know that you're doing that, but. That's sweet. Can I believe it's already 9:45? Holy Christ. When I think, just when I think, what are we going to talk about today? Keith, on my brackets, I have these 4 teams. Scott, make sure you go get in the pools. I got my brackets up for the men and the women. Bo, you too. Drew, I know you don't follow college basketball, but have some fun with us. Go fill brackets out, at least on the men's side. I don't follow the women that close myself, quite frankly. I know who good teams are. But guys, go fill out those brackets. And if you haven't, I'm going to put them up in the comments one more time. Let me do this one. I'm going to get to your comment here in a second. I want to put these, copy and paste these. And they're also on my Facebook page, TGI Sports Talk. Just scroll through the timeline. You'll find it in between the shows. And I think that's for the men. And it's on my personal page as well. Again, you got to scroll through some other posts like my show posts, but get in here, guys. Let's have some fun. Let's get 15 or 20 people in here. Invite your friends. Send this link to your friends. Post it on your page. It's open for anybody to join. I want to have some fun. We only had 7 or 8 guys last year. Rick did win both pools, though. Congratulations to him. And we hope to get all you guys in there. Scott, Bo, Chris, Michael. We need a UK representation. Anyway, Scott says on his brackets, he has 4 teams as number 1 seeds. Duke, Auburn, Houston. I agree 100%. Houston asked the committee to go out west. It'd probably be fine because they're going to keep Duke in the east. They're going to put Auburn down south. So it comes down to, and I don't know whether Houston's going to get put out in the West because they asked the committee, but it makes sense, right? I mean, Florida, Tennessee is probably going to be the lowest number 1 seed, right? So they're going to get what they get. So I like all this. We talked about, I'm going to get behind a little bit when I do this, but I don't understand. I'm going to go through this again. Scott, I did it on the college football show the other night. I don't think you were there, but I'm going to go through this one more time. Here's teams on the bubble. Here's teams out. Boise State lost yesterday the final to Colorado State, who really stole a bid because, the number 1 seed doesn't win. Mountain West ought to get 4 seeds. Right now, Lenardi's got Boise State out. Boise State's out. Carolina's out. Down year. No doubt. Texas, I'm okay with. Ohio State, I'm okay with. I got a problem with teams like Irvine, Wake Forest, SMU, potentially VCU, or George Mason, whichever doesn't win the A-10. Why can't I put the second best team in some of these mid-majors when they're really good and they got records like 27-6 and 2 or 3 or 4 losses in their league and 13 or 14 or 15 wins? I got to leave them out and take teams that are bottom of the SEC, bottom of the Big Ten. I got to take Oklahoma, Arkansas. No, I don't. Indiana. No, Lenardi's got all 3 of these teams in. I'm taking all 3 of these teams out. Dayton, I'm okay with not going in. But I want Boise State in a tournament. I want Carolina in a tournament, and probably UC Irvine should be in a tournament. And congratulations, by the way, to UC Davis or UC Sandy. Who was it? Damn it! Now I screwed myself up. Where are the teams already in here? Hold on. I want to say UC Davis. UC San Diego. First year in Division I, I believe, and they're in. First year. Good job. Great job winning their conference tournament out in the Big West. Here's the teams already in, by the way, with automatic bids. Bryant in the American East. Duke in the ACC. Lipscomb in the Atlantic Sun. Houston in the Big 12. St. John's, first time in 25 years they win the Big East. Congratulations. Montana in the Big Sky. High Point, their first trip to the Big Dance ever. Congratulations to them. Just missed last year. Big Ten's up for grabs today. Big West, I said, UC San Diego. UC Wilmington in the CAA. Liberty in Conference USA. Robert Morris in the Horizon. Mount St. Mary's in the MAC. Big upset there, actually. Akron in the MAC. That's one's a Metro Atlantic, the other's the Midwest. It's Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green. The MEAC is Norfolk State. Drake. Watch out for Drake. Drake's really good. Colorado State, they were on the bubble. They took themselves off the bubble and put Boise State on. St. Francis in the Northeast Conference. SIUE in the Ohio Valley. American in the Patriot League. Another great book John Feinstein wrote about the Patriot League. You wouldn't think it would be a great book. Who cares about American and Holy Cross? Great, great book. Wolford in the Southern. McNeese in the Southland. Alabama State Alabama State in the SWAC. Omaha wins the Summit League. Troy wins the Sun Belt. Gonzaga surprises St. Mary's after St. Mary's dominated them in the regular season to win. We still got the WAC final today. I mentioned these earlier, right? We still got here's the finals we still have today. Cornell and Yale for the Ivy League bid. Tennessee and Florida. Winner will be losers in. Winner gets the number one seed as a number one seed most likely, as Scott pointed out. George Mason and VCU. It's going to be a shame if either one of these teams has to stay home, and I got to watch the 13th best team in the SEC. Nobody cares. You are not getting more viewers to this tournament by taking 13 or 14 SEC teams, maybe 12, regardless. You're not getting more viewers for this tournament. First two rounds are the most exciting part of this tournament, and the casual viewer wants to see David beat Goliath, or at least scare him. And you're not going to get that. And when you go to 72 or 76, and now you're just taking more teams from the ACC, the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC. I mean, right now, I got myself sidetracked here a little bit. I talked about this the other night. As we sit right now, 30 teams, almost half of this bracket will come from 3 leagues. That's not okay. He does have the Big East up to 5 bids, though. That's good. Anyway, UAB and Memphis. I think the runner-up here ought to get in. And then in the American Conference, obviously, and Wisconsin and Michigan in the Big Ten, they'll both be in. So I agree. There's our boy Bo again on the Seattle Seahawks front. Oh, they made some good moves, but if they don't give Arnold protection, he could revert back to Panthers version of them or the Jet version of them. I agree 150%. He's got to be protected. He was in a great situation last year. Got exposed. And you know how you expose him? The way you expose a lot of quarterbacks. Even Tom Brady had trouble with this. Hit him early and hit him often. And it's not even important you hit him often. Pressure him. You hit him in the face early in the game, he's going to get happy feet. You watched him in the playoffs against the Rams throwing balls 10 feet short of guys on swing passes. Get in his head. This happened to Tom Brady. It happens to best quarterbacks. And the ones who aren't the best, like Sam Darnold, needs perfect, clean pockets. Tiger time. This one hurts, all pun intended. Tiger out for the entire season as he goes under the knife, as I mentioned earlier, with an Achilles tendon injury. I think Jack Nicklaus is, and I think has been safe for a while. Nicklaus's major record is intact. And by the way, when you go look at Jack Nicklaus's record and you include like second place finishes and third place finishes and top 10 finishes, it blows Tiger away. Now, wins are what matters in majors. I get it, but he's still, I don't know, 3 ahead of him. Tiger's never going to be competing. Look, you could see the occasional Masters when he's older, like Freddie Couples, compete for 2 or 3 rounds and then fall backwards just because you cannot sustain consistent play for 4 days once you get over a certain age. You just can't. We've seen some anomalies, and Tiger's one of those guys who could be an anomaly later on and win another major. I don't think he will, but he's not beaten Nicklaus, and I think he's probably his days as a consistent contender in these tournaments is long over. I mean, when he came out of nowhere a couple of years ago in the Masters, it was a great story. But now it's over. And it's a shame. Tiger's good for golf. I know people don't like the fact that I don't. You know, when I turn on the Masters or the U.S. Open, I'll see Tiger all day long, whether he's contending for the lead or 15 shots behind. Whoa. Scott gives me, who's the winner here? Scott usually gives me a winner, a bet on women's tennis. So we got Drew, help me out here. Sablenka, close enough, against Andreeva. How's that sound? Will be an awesome women's final at Indian Wells. Who was the men's guy who hit a ball at a kid in the stands here, Scott? Saw the headline pop up. I didn't look at it yet this morning. Michael says another great NHL documentary on YouTube, Road to Victory, the 94. I've seen this one. Tremendous. And Michael, if you have Prime, Amazon Prime Video, which if you have Amazon Prime, you have their video. There's a great series called Game 7. And there's a couple of good Ranger stories in there. In fact, there are a couple of good hockey stories. Edmonton is in there from back in the Gretzky days. Calgary, I think, is part of that Edmonton story. The Rangers, and the Devils, and I feel like there's one more I'm missing. But there's some other stuff too. Yeah, if you're a baseball fan, there's a couple of great Game 7s in there, including Aaron effing Boone hitting a home run off Tim Wakefield. Don't worry, I'll bust Allen's chops about the Rangers. I feel like I pile on Allen, and I feel bad. Rangers win the West, or the Astros take it. Well, CA, you have a little bit of bias there, I think. Listen, I like the Astros, though. Again, until you beat them. I see William Aiken's coming up. I got a good question for him. I usually take the Astros. I haven't decided yet for our preview show, which will be on the 28th at 3 p.m. A couple hours. Me and Drew. Myself and Drew. Part of me wants to take Seattle. I think they're going to find a way to score some runs. I don't know how. If their pitching staff is healthy, gets healthy, I think they got a great shot. William Akins, how are you, my friend, up in Pittsburgh? So how do you feel about the Steelers and their quarterback situation? You don't have one. Mason Rudolph is not your starter, and you know that, I hope. If Mason, and he's a good backup, but if Mason Rudolph needs to play more than a couple of games, this team's going to be 8-8. Or Mike Tomlin might have his first losing season. They need a quarterback. Are you all in on Aaron Rodgers, or where else are you going to go? You're not going to get one of the top guys in the draft. Then you go way too early anyway. You can get a guy later on, but is he really going to be ready to start? None of these guys in this draft are ready to start year one. So Minshew's off the board, thankfully for the Steelers. You got Cousins. You can go back to Russ Wilson. I know we wanted to stay, but you've already made it clear you didn't want him. You wanted Justin Fields and didn't keep him. Not sure how you bring Wilson back now. And he's talking to Giants and the Browns as well. I mean, where do they go? If you don't get Rodgers, and I'm not saying you should want him, by the way, but with the need you have, if he's available, how do you not sign him? And if you don't sign him, where do you go? Saskatchewan Roughriders signed former defensive back Mark Webb. A lot of guys go to Canada to die. I'm just kidding. Canadian Football League can be fun. It takes a little getting used to the extra wide field, the rouges. But back in the day when Doug Flutie was up there, and I wasn't a Doug Flutie fan as a Patriot, I didn't want him on the team, and I thought him coming to New England at the time he did tore the team apart. We can get into that anytime. But he's a great player in the USFL. I used to watch Warren Moon when he played with the Eskimos. There was some good football being played. Vince Ferragamo when he played with the Alouettes. Ricky Williams went there for a year, if you remember. Must be pot was free or legal or both. But now I'm having trouble getting into it. I tried to turn it on in the summertime, when there's no football and I don't feel like baseball. But I got into it a lot more back in the day. And I'm still trying to get your guy, Neil. I don't want to say his last name because I'll say it wrong. Former CFL player is going to donate his brain to science when he dies to research CTE. And he's also a politician in Canada now. And possibly he won't return my calls because of where I'm calling from. Or he sees me in red and knows what that means. Anyway, as Simon and Garfunkel said, hello, my darkness, my old friend. I'm waiting for CA to respond. Yeah, I think it's coming up here. Hold on. CA, yes, billions of viewers on YouTube of The Sound of Silence, one of the best copyright covered by another band. I agree 100%. It was haunting. The Disturbed version of this, and I'm assuming the gentleman you mentioned is their lead singer. I'm sure I would not enjoy one of their other songs, quite frankly. No disrespect intended. Everybody has their own thing. I'm a country fan, and some of the old, 80s, 70s stuff. But this was a haunting version. What a voice. This guy has a tremendous voice. And the crescendo as this thing just ramps up is just amazing. Share the link. Find it and share the link. Everybody should watch this. AC, good morning, my friend. AC, go through the comments or go to Facebook. TGI Sports Talk page, my personal page. We have the brackets up for both the men's and women's tournament. I need everybody in this conversation to get in, and everybody who follows the shows to get in. So please, if you're just up here and you're not commenting, I see a decent amount of people. And Linda, go get in the brackets, have some fun. Drew, I know you don't follow college basketball, but you follow enough. I heard a conversation yesterday. You know enough about Fran McCaffrey to get in the tournament and have some fun. AC, get in. Gary McKillips, if you're still with us. Hi, Gary. Get in our tournament or our brackets. Vinny, get in our tournament. Get in our brackets. Good grief. It's free. It's for bragging rights. Robert Butler, get in our brackets. Just looking at some people up here. We got a lot of people watching on TGI Sports Talk. A lot of people on X today. Welcome all of them. Anyway, AC, you think your Red Sox could be a big surprise this year? Listen, if the Yankees fall apart, Tampa doesn't have a place to play, so they don't have a real home. Well, they're still in Tampa, so I guess they'll get their fans, but it's a disruption. Toronto is historically, underachieves. The Orioles, I think, will bounce back. I like Orioles a lot. I think Jackson Holliday certainly steps it up this year. If Gunner's healthy, he's going to be an MVP candidate. I like this team a lot. But the Red Sox could do well. I mean, we berated their offseason moves, and I think late they made some moves that help. Again, I think pitching staff is a little scary. I think Crochet's an injury issue potential. Bello, I think, is already hurt a little bit. I think he got some issues. I do not understand. To me, you're weakening three positions, maybe four if you want to count offensive. But defensively, I'm weakening maybe three positions. I'm not sure about Cassis as his defensive ability. You might be able to fill me in, and Drew might be able to fill me in a little more. I'm not sure about Cassis's defensive ability. I know that Bregman is head and shoulders better at a third baseman than he is than Devers is. Sorry, head and shoulders above Devers at third base. So if I'm not weakening three, I'm weakening two positions by playing Bregman out of position at second base potentially and letting Devers, who to me is being very selfish in this. You want to win? Then move. Go play first base. Go DH. Your position is hitter anyway. So I think there's some issues there if they can't sort that out. And I don't know why Cora isn't just saying, look at Raffy, here's what's best for the team. And that little passive-aggressive press conference he had a couple of weeks ago, laughing about, no, I play third base. Yeah. He was sending a message. Oops, sorry. Hey, we haven't froze yet. Paul Spada, hello. Paul's in the men's side of the bracket. Get in the women's side, too. Actually, we could actually put a second guy in here. I don't mention the first guy's name. I'll mention the second guy's name, Justin Tucker, and I'll say it is not Justin Tucker. I may not be able to mention his name much longer. But we can make him the massage molester 2.0. These guys are just, I don't get it, right? Still playing the NFL. Don't let the air on footballs. Again, sorry. You guys may get tired of hearing me say it, but don't let the air out of footballs. You can go have your way with massage therapists. You can beat women. You can carry guns on planes. You can kill two people at Super Bowl if you're a Hall of Fame linebacker. But don't let the air out of footballs because we're going to throw the book at you. Washington Wolfpack. It's in Everett. Okay, cool. Bo, will you do any traveling? Because if they come here to Albany, I'm not going to Washington to watch Albany play. But as part of your duties covering the Wolfpack, would you be traveling to road games? Come to Albany, we got to get together, bud. Get me some seats in a press box. My wife enjoys the games too. Bo looks to be involved with the Washington Wolfpack. He is. He just got some press credentials to cover that team. Congratulations to Bo. As I said, Bo has got the pedal to the metal, trying to make this thing work as a career. God bless him. Bo's going to end up someplace other than talking to us, probably. And more power to him. I like Bo a lot. Bo's a very, very smart guy. He knows his stuff. Me, I just sit here and just spout. Whatever. Bo knows his stuff. Bo's really good. But I need to know what you're going to make it to Albany. Again, I think... AC, where are you, by the way, AC? I know we talked. I can't remember where you're located. Paul, I know you're a Red Sox fan. You're going to say they'll surprise. I haven't done my full analysis yet. You should probably hope I say the Red Sox have no shot to get out of the basement, because whenever I say that, they like win the division or at least make the playoffs. So already 10:10. We got 20 minutes left, guys. This morning's flown by. Great stuff. No. When I retire, there'll be just our streams will go on. I don't want to confuse anybody. This date. Where am I? Where is it? That's my work retirement. August 31st, unless they retire me sooner. But there'll be streams. Yeah. We'll still be here. And I'm glad to hear you'll miss me, but unfortunately you won't be able to miss me just yet. As long as I survive that long, I'll still be here. We'll be there somewhere to take your slots. BS, not trying to push you out the door early. No, I'm not going anywhere. I will still be here. Got to do something in retirement besides travel and play with my granddaughter and play golf. We'll do these shows. I might tweak the times a little bit. This show will stay the same time probably, because as long as I'm young enough to still go out for my football Sundays, I want to be able to get off the air by 10:30. And I think we've had a great following for this show, and I think this time slot has worked out well for most people. I know it's not great for Danny, and Danny's not here this morning, and Bo, when he comes on, it's pretty early. But I like this one. We could tweak the college football, the MLB update. We could tweak the one-on-one interview show when that is. I don't know yet. Part of it will depend on the National Roku channel, because, again, I'm locked into these times. But they don't have to be live there either. I could replay shows. I like the live aspect, but you can't watch on Roku and comment. You still got to go to Facebook or YouTube. But no, I will still be here tormenting everyone that watches me on this show and all the other shows I do and the ones I appear on. I don't plan on cutting back that schedule really at all, maybe just tweaking it a little bit. We'll see. Chris says we've heard the last of 200. His athleticism may be a little short of Mikhail Baryshnikov, but we may have heard the last of Chow. Let me see. Chris, you kill me, buddy. Oh, you can always make me look stuff up, though. I got to see where he is. Man Choi. Oh, man. Yeah. But last year he wasn't very good. Well, last time he played was that 2003? I think we've heard the end of him. And he hasn't played since 2003. He hit all of 065 that year. But he had a couple decent, again, he's not a great player. He had some productive seasons as a part-time player with the Rays. I didn't see him play enough to comment on his athleticism being up to Mikhail Baryshnikov, and I'm not sure if I would call what Baryshnikov does athleticism. And I don't want to disparage you here. I'm going to offend all the ballet dancers out there, which I'm sure a lot of them watching my show, ballet dancers, are big in my demographic when I look at my demographics. I'm kidding. Baryshnikov is very nimble. I better stop. Thank you, Scott. Already in. Awesome. Guys, let's get 20 guys. Send it to your friends. Take these links I posted in the comments or go to TGI Sports Talk and sign up for the group. See who's in there right now. Has anybody done it since I asked them to do it? Not that I expect you guys just to jump when I say jump. I'm looking at bed. You got to get the brackets filled out by Thursday morning, too, guys. We got 4 guys in the men now, 2 in the women. I know Rick will get in. Keith's pick. Do me a favor, too, Scott Kobe. I don't know who AP. I guess I can figure this out. APLTS88. Never going to figure that out without somebody telling me. So make sure you fill out your bracket with a name that I can understand and not just ESPN, because that's how some guys will come from outside. I left it open to the public just so that we can have potentially more competitors. But we did that in football, and I didn't even know who some of the guys were because they wouldn't speak up. Paul Spot is in. I know that. Thank you for that, my friend. These are all. How did I get so many posts up here for the brackets? Is it the true winner? Is it true the winner gets a Keith Engle bobblehead? There's only one Keith Engle bobblehead, and it's the one you're looking at right now, Scott. You know what? Maybe I'll look into getting a bobblehead. I still got to get Rick. I got to get with Danny on the button pusher trophy for the Itch Award from 2024. Got to get with Danny. So anyway, I'll have to look at it to see if I can get myself my own bobblehead. I probably can. The 90 boxes of Post cereal had cutout cards on the back. I think I remember that. Take yourself back 35 years. Who would you have been more excited about, Ken Griffey Jr. or Kevin Moss? Listen, as a Yankee fan, Kevin Moss had 3 great months. Ken Griffey Jr. I'd be more excited about. I would have been excited about Kevin Moss, though, probably. Remember, I'm still 30 years old, so I was a bit of an adult. Well, I mean, chronologically speaking. So, Kevin Moss said, listen, one of the great runs a Yankee rookie's ever had, and disappeared as fast as anybody you can think of. So I'm going to say Ken Griffey Jr. I got to get moving, or we're not going to get through these comments in 13 minutes. So we got to go faster. I don't know where Danny is today. Don't know. 3 teams to watch out. High Point. I like High Point to maybe upset. UC San Diego, great story. I like Drake. I would put Drake in this. I would put Drake and St. Mary's in this as well. There's always a team like High Point or Omaha or San Diego. UC San Diego is a great story. So it's High Point. It might be Omaha's first trip too. I'm not sure, Scott. But I like all those picks. Lipscomb, I'm not so sure about. But again, it's always fun to watch these teams. That's why I want to see some of these mid-majors get in. When we go to 72 or 76 teams next year, most likely, please, I don't want 16 teams from the SEC and the Big Ten. Oh. Happy birthday. We got to go quickly here, Chris. Happy birthday, Fannie Nayhouse. Fannie came out of Washington Jefferson Program School, also produced Homer Bliss, who played the position of guard with 1928 Chicago Cardinals for 1 game. Fannie would be 125 years old today. She'd be happy if she was here. Happy birthday, Fannie. Watch out for Cornell if they win it. They can score. Cornell's done this before, and Cornell's been a dangerous out a couple of times. This is a few years back now, but that'd be interesting if they played Cornell and Alabama in the first round. Yeah, there'd be no defense played in that game. Alabama's in danger of going out early because of the lack of defense that they play. Similar to, I mean, Fran McCaffrey got fired at Iowa for as much because that team scored with some of the best teams in the country. They could never stop anybody. Won the Big Ten tournament 1 year and went out in the first round with the Murray twins. Can't go against the world's number 1 player in the world in Sabalenka, but Andreevia could be the next big thing in women's tennis. Maybe I'll go on just for fun today. Put a little wager on the underdog. There's Danny here for the last 10 minutes. Danny, I know you sent me some samples. I got to get Rick. I got to get the Itch trophy for Rick. I don't know. I can't remember if I know I looked at them and nothing was sticking out to me. I know we wanted a little finger pushing a button, and that's probably a lot to ask for. But I got to get something. And you know what? Can I get a bobblehead? Can we get like one? And probably can't do it for like, I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. Can you get a bobblehead made of yourself? And I need one of mine. Scott had a great idea. The winner of the tournament bracket challenge. And Danny, go get in the bracket challenge. There's links in these comments here. and also on my Facebook pages, the TGI Sports Talk page, my personal page. Get in the tournaments, the bracket tournaments. Picks got to be in by Thursday. Ice Guardians is a great doc. I'll check that out too, AC. Helen Duell, roller derby from UConn, scores perfect game in duck pin bowling. There's a sport we should follow, duck pin bowling. What do you call it here? I think there's duck pin. No, candlestick. Maybe there's duck pin too. There's two things besides the regular bowling. There's duck pin. Maybe it's duck pin and candlestick bowling. There's two different. I thought they were the same thing, but I believe they're different. Boy, things must get really dull in the Yukon there, Chris. How can you not take the asterisks? They pound trash cans better than anyone else. Well, listen, here's to this point, and it's a little late in the show to take up this topic, but we'll carry it over. I want to be able to share the show later, but if we have to go away on Roku, maybe we'll go a little long. But anyway, I'm sorry, Jose Altuve will probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Sorry. As a Yankee fan, I still see this as one of the and again, I know as a Dodger fan, you see it worse because they beat you in the World Series. We didn't have any gripes. We didn't score any runs. Stealing signs doesn't happen to that. Stealing signs have been going on for hundreds of years. Just watch Friday's interview with Kevin Bryant. We talked about this type of espionage going on in all sports forever. And by the way, to your comment about so put all the right players in, I'd put all them in too. And tell their story. I don't care. Put Altuve in and say he was involved in a sign stealing scandal. You know? I don't care. But Jose Altuve's a Hall of Famer. That scandal or no. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are Hall of Famers at a minimum. Tell their stories. I don't care. At this point, I'm okay with Aaron Rodgers. Interesting. $90 million over 2 years is steep, though, for sure. But if you pretty much burned all your bridges at this point, you're the Steelers. If you're the Steelers, agreed. I think what's holding the deal up is Rodgers feels the Steelers need him more than he needs them. I think, again, I think there's a little bit of, more going on there. I think it's not as much Rodgers as you think. I'm not saying he doesn't feel that way because we know who Aaron Rodgers is, right? I think he's waiting on his Vikings, and the Vikings are holding this whole thing up. That's what I think. And they may hold it up longer just because they don't need to make a decision. If Rodgers really wants to go to Minnesota and not Pittsburgh, then he's going to wait for O'Connell. I'm not a big fan. I watched him play enough games last year. The numbers, again, I said the same thing about Russell Wilson last year. Don't look at his numbers. The numbers always look good because you pile up garbage time numbers, games that don't mean anything late in the year. You got to use the eye test and watch them play. Aaron Rodgers looked nothing like the old Aaron Rodgers last year at any point in time. You're paying Metcalf $150 million. You better have someone to get him the ball. You better, yes, or he's going, not only are you wasting $150 million, he's going to be a problem. And the other side of this is, are you keeping Pickens so you got two problems, or is Pickens on the block? I really think Pickens might get traded before or on draft day. Joey Gallo up. This is what I've been waiting for this. So Joey's ready for the season. There's no really reason for him to play anymore. 20 at bats, 11 strikeouts, 1 base on ball. That's a little low for him. And 100 batting average. Just hang by your nails career moves. Continues to take a hit. I think he's ready for the no more truck gum, just one. I think he's ready for the season now. Stop playing. Still surprised the Orioles didn't open up the purse strings for starters, given new ownership. I'm a little surprised at that as well. We'll probably talk more about it when we do the MLB update. Crank out the stats for Vinny Capra, who is mutilating the ball from Milwaukee, but somehow not in the conversation for a starting job at second base. Well, they got a pretty good second baseman in Terang, who played well defensively, steals some bases. I can't get wrapped up in these spring stats. I really can't. Again, Drew and I talk about this, and I know he, is looking at guys coming back from injuries, and I do as well. I want to see if they're healthy. I don't really care about the numbers coming out of spring training. I mean, although Joey Gallo's pretty consistent with his, but he could surprise. He's still got 3 weeks of spring training almost. Scott Stevens played much larger than his size, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Scott Stevens was a pretty aggressive physical player. Neil Lumsden, yes, thank you. I didn't want to say Lumsden wrong. I was close. That is not what I would have said, though. But Neil's not returning my calls, and it could be because I'm calling from the States, and maybe he's seen me and heard some of my passive-aggressive comments on this show and others, and understands that what side of the aisle I'm on and doesn't want to talk to me. Good morning. We will be back. Our Canadian friends like Chris, there's a couple others that I haven't seen in a while, but we love our Canadian friends. So okay, this will all pass. Not a big deal. It's political theater. Good morning. Long season for the Yankees? Potentially, Dave. We'll be talking more about it. We've talked a lot about it in the last 2 hours, but we'll be talking more about it on the MLB update 2 weeks from Friday. So this past Friday, the 28th, we'll do our MLB preview show, and we'll get into all this. And I'm a little worried about the Yankees. Again, there were some question marks before we had the injuries, and now you've got arguably your best 2 pitchers out. One for the year, one who knows. When Keith retires, watch out for the 24-hour Keith Engle Network coming soon. YouTube near you. You know what I am going to do, though, is I'm going to make a concentrated effort, Scott, to boost my YouTube exposure. I mean, we're driving towards 3,000 followers on Facebook, and depending on the day, we get 1,000 or 2,000 views, maybe more. On Facebook, I've got 70 subscribers on YouTube or whatever. And we'll get 10 views. And I don't know how to, get the show seen on Facebook. I don't on YouTube, and I got to make some, I plan on making some serious moves there. Vinny Capra. What time is it? 57, 2 minutes. I don't know if we can do it. Vinny, I'm going to say goodbye right now before I go further. I'm going to say goodbye to the Roku crowd just so I don't. I got into a problem the other night. I stayed on too long, or the other day, and I stayed on too long. I thought when a new show started, we'd get bumped, but that isn't what happened. So I got to make sure I say goodbye. So I'm not going yet. For the rest of you, those of you on Roku. We'll be back on Wednesday with the college football, college basketball huddle. We'll see you then. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. See you on Roku. We'll see you later. Excellent. Let me save my changes. All right, where were we? Vinny Capra's at 333, 394. That's some pretty good numbers, right? But he didn't hit in his previous career. I'd never even heard his name before just now, actually. Unless something drastically changes the small sample size in the pan, Chris. Good call. That's Alan, AP. Oh, that's Alan. Okay, cool. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Danny. Always appreciate even the Yankee. That's for you. I got this for you, and you came late. And 4th place in the East. No, it's not East. This is Perth Colors. Also, it's, I wear red for some other reasons now and again. But this is Red Raider colors. I'm not supposed to say Red Raider. It's offensive. But we are Red Raiders. Thank you for the stars, though, Danny. You're my hero. You signed in yesterday for the bracket? I don't see you there. Let me refresh. Yeah, make sure you follow the right path. Because I see Paul, I see me, I see Alan, and I see Scott. That's all I see. Rick said he signed up too. I hope he didn't, because I don't know how we can go to the wrong place. It's the path from, my pages. So we're a little long. We won't be sharing this on Roku secondly, but that's okay. We'll go a few minutes over. Rick Pitino wins another title for yet another different college. Yeah, I mentioned at the top, first time in 25 years, and a couple times during the show. The first time in 25 years, St. John's has won. Really good for St. John's basketball, for Big East basketball, for Eastern basketball in general. St. John's being relevant is always good, I think. Rick Pitino, I mean, again, he's you either love him or you hate him, but you can't deny he's a great basketball coach. This is the sixth team he's taken to the NCAA tournament. He's been to the Final Four with three of them. Three? Kentucky, Louisville, Providence. Yeah, three of them. He's a great coach. This is a fun team to watch. This team plays defense. They have a little trouble putting the ball in the basket sometimes. 3-point shots, they can't keep up. So, why do Duck have pins? Well, they're broken legs. They have put little pins in their legs. David is a lead vocal. That's what. Man, the guy was what a voice. If I was you, listen to the Light and the rest of their great. I've listened to some of them. See, it's just not my cup of tea. I stumbled upon Sounds of Silence by accident years ago. And I'll play it every now and again because it's a very moving rendition of a great song. I don't want to be blasphemous, but it rivals the original. And when you listen to it in the version that Disturbed sings, the meaning of the song really takes on some interest. And kind of the world we live in today, it takes a kind of a different tone. I'll give it a shot, but listen, I'm a country guy, and I'm probably going to stay a country guy. I don't listen to much else but country today. New and old. Neil contacted me and asked me if you were really like, especially during the shuffleboard tournaments. And you told him? He's a freaking conservative freaking nut trying to send 75% tariffs to your country. Don't talk to him. Guys, it'll all get better. Just relax. Everything we have to react, right, so fast. So I'm just going to throw this out there quickly because we're on this. And again, I love my Canadian friends. I have friends off the show from Canada, Canadian citizens. Again, this will pass. It's all political theater. It's such a small window. We react so quickly to everything. And again, I understand there are issues here that are causing a lot of, confusion. But I will tell you this. People tend to back down. We are on a cruise. Watch out for the best, Keith Engle. We're not on a cruise now until November. We were booked in October. We had to push it off for some reasons I'll share later. But we're on a 2-week cruise in October, and then in February, and then there could be more. We've got an Alaskan cruise. We got a book. I want to book a trip across the country on the train. So lots coming. Now we can bash the Roku people. It's funny. I've spent 5 years bashing Facebook, and here I am still growing. I don't know. It's like biting the hand that feeds you on steroids. What I do. But the Nazis now are gone. I mean, the Nazis on Facebook have left. The politically correct police have left. Bye. Sorry I offended you by saying Redskins and Indians all these years. God. Watch out for the Grand Canyon. CA, listen, funny's funny. That's a bad joke, but it's very funny. Did they make the tournament? I don't know if they did, actually. Oh, God. Oh, good. Scott gave Neil a great report on me. That's awesome. I saw Keith and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the coffee shop last week, hanging out with Keith is trying to get Vlad to the Yankees. I am tampering, yes. I'm proud. I'm a proud tamper. I will do all I can do to get Vlad Guerrero to the Yankees. I know Vlad's had some issues with the Yankees through the years, said he would never play with them. But if you paid attention this winter, he kind of backed off those remarks just a little bit, walked them back just a little. And I guarantee you this, if the money's right, Vlad could very easily be playing first base or third base if Paul Goldschmidt works out for the Yankees. I would really love to see the Blue Jays crash and burn in the first half of the Yankees trade for Vlad. Put him at third base. Hopefully Goldschmidt's having a good year. I will look at this season a whole lot differently. Maybe send a pitcher or two with him. All right, guys, we're a little long, but we're still here. You guys have a great, great Sunday. Let me see, who didn't I say hi to? It might have popped in here. I'm going to take a quick look if I can see. John Gonzalez had popped in. Hi, John. Tanner D had popped in from Let's Talk Sports. John Gonzalez, of course, from the Sports Authorities. We love John. Great group. Another Perthite, Kim Carter. How are you, Kim, if you're still out there? Oops, I went to the wrong thing. Angel Nuno, what is that? I'm going to say your name wrong, Angel. I apologize. Nusrat. Gary McKillips, of course, one of the good friends of the show. Vinny Fiorillo. Jesus, Vinny, I'm sorry. Only known you for 50 years. Not 50, but 40. Great guy. Thanks for tuning in. And Robert Butler. Guys, get in the bracket challenge. Go to my page. Facebook, on YouTube. Not on YouTube. Facebook, the TGI Sports Talk page. My personal page, Keith Engle. Go there and get in the bracket. Danny, check it out. I know you said you're not in there yet, so you thought you got in. I don't see you there, so go register again, and I'll take a look later. Just shoot me a message when you're in there, and I'll see what's going on. I'll try to see what's going on. Matt Lidoff, yeah, how are you today? Good to have you with us today. You have a great week as well. I will have a masterpiece of a week. You too, Danny. What can 600 million buy you nowadays? Is not as much as it used to. No, I'm barely going to retire on that. You kidding me? So you guys all have a great day. I'm going to say goodbye. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. You guys have been great as always, and I'll be back next Sunday with this show, and we'll be back Wednesday with the Stream of Consciousness. Next week we got Wes Pritchett, former Notre Dame defensive star, one of the stars of that 88 Notre Dame national championship team under Lou Holtz, the last time they won a national championship. And we'll have an MLB update next week, most likely, as well. And then you'll see us throughout the week on different shows, potentially as well. So have a great, great Sunday. It's going to rain a little here, maybe get some thunder, but we'll have some fun with my granddaughter in a few hours as well. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.